So we are going to go straight into our fireside chat. To guide this conversation, I'm honored to be joined by Anuli Bond, Community Engagement Editor at Capital B Atlanta. We're going to do a quick little change of the seats, and then we're going to get the mic started, and I'm going to pass the mic to Ann, and I'll be in the hot seat.
Who's to say when all will end? All I know is when the portrait painted, better have your portion another way.
How fun! We get to be in Atlanta. We get to have good weather, even though the pollen is pollen. We're in the South, we Black in real life. It's a whole situation. It's not lost on me that we are also in a time of remembrance. I often say with 404 Day, we get so excited about the culture, we sometimes forget to honor the life of Dr. Martin Luther King that actually passed away on April 4th. So I just wanted to make sure that that was said, because I don't do anything without ancestors with me. But I'm excited to be here with you.
I'm excited to be with you. I truly am.
I'm excited. Usually I'm in leggings and a hoodie, like an Atlanta Influence Everything hoodie. I had to put on heels today.
I mean, you don't have to, but you look good.
Yes, you look good too. I knew you were going to bring it. So I was like, let me get it together. One of the things, I read your report, I think your mind is just beautiful to be able to even go there, right? To cross the boundaries, to investigate, to agitate, to sit with hard truths about our culture, about being in the South, about being Black, about technology taking over, like the boogeyman somewhere. And I think your report really gives us hope and gives us a roadmap to like how we can engage and how we can still be ourselves. So thank you for that. Very much.
Thank you.
Woo, everybody, y'all. I'm a southern person. Like y'all gotta engage with me. Like, yay, she did a good thing. Like a whole doctorate. This is a whole dissertation. So yes, thank you. Woo! We're gonna celebrate our Black minds. So I want to start out with, I am a journalist. I am an editor. So I am a daughter of Toni Morrison, and you know, because you went to Howard. And Toni Morrison has this quote that says, sometimes why is too hard, so we find refuge in how. And I wanted to start out by asking you, how did you even get to this concept?
Thank you for the question. So I was in a role at Data and Society, labor, race, and technology researcher for their Labor Futures team. And I had this really rare opportunity as a researcher coming into an organization where they said, you get to come up with a topic at this intersection. Whatever you do, we'll support you with the resources to produce this work. I was like, bet. Cool. That never happens. So this topic really just came from conversations with people in my everyday life. I had friends who were trying to pivot from different industries, particularly care workers trying to think about, this is physically demanding work, what I do next, right? And people tell them, oh, go get a job in tech, there's money in tech. And they're like, where, how? And I'm like, where and how? Like, how do you go about doing that? So then you start to hear the conversation around AI, and this word AI literacy is everywhere. They're saying, if you become literate in AI, you'll get a job. And I'm like, is that true? What does that mean to be perceived as AI literate, and how do those skills determine the career outcomes for Black Atlantans? So it really started with conversations with people trying to pivot into different career fields. It was always tech, and just was curious about what is AI literacy? What does that even mean? What skills do you need to get, right? And if you get those skills, and if you become literate, do you actually get a job? I mean, the report is called 404 Job Not Found. I think the answer is kind of in there. I also love a double entendre. But yeah, no. And that's how it really started, how it really just started with people in my everyday life as an anthropologist.
I love that. And so this, the lens of the South, why Atlanta, why now, and what's next? You explicitly push back against research ecosystem that treats the U.S. South as like a labor pool, right? Like they gather knowledge and produce in this region, but what have southern cities like Atlanta revealed about AI and labor that coastal tech disclosures out in San Francisco and California just have missed completely.
Absolutely. So my dissertation research was also based in Atlanta. And just like a little context for that, when I started the PhD program, I was going to do a project about social media influencers and how they work and the labor involved in content creating. We often don't think of it as a job, but it is a job, right? Especially in 2020 when you saw brands pivot to, oh, just do influencer campaigns. And now that one person is location scout here, makeup, photographer, all these things, and companies get to pay for the jobs of 12 people, but one person is doing it, so you don't have to pay as much.
Right.
So that work was going to be in LA, right? So I was like, oh yeah, let's do like content creation because it's in LA. But that started in 2019, 2020 came, and I was like, I don't want to have to move to LA, first of all. Second of all, LA.
We don't want you in LA.
LA kind of felt like a place where like Black people had to fit into white spaces, and just from like a personal and political perspective, I didn't feel like that, like studying that per se. Atlanta kind of felt like Black people creating spaces for themselves, Black people innovating with the resources they had. And a lot of social media trends, let's be honest, start in the South before people in the coast to coast take on to it, right? We saw that with the Renegade Challenge, for example. That's like homegrown. From the music to the creator, right? K-Camp to Jalea Hartman, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of a sudden, Charlie Emilio and other people get credit for that. So Atlanta was always interesting to me because of this idea of like Atlanta influences everything, exploring what that means. It's marketing and positioned as a Black Mecca, and I use the word marketing on purpose and all these things. So with this research, I wanted to continue that because ultimately the dissertation was about tracing a genealogy of contract work and gig work to the US South. Because we associate it with Silicon Valley, right? Gig economy. But our first gig workers in the US from a historical perspective were Black workers in the South. W.E.B. Du Bois did his first research on Black workers in Georgia to even talk about what double consciousness is.
Yeah, I love that. And because it goes right into my next question about your doctoral work, traces how Black creators built the influence economy in Atlanta. Now you're tracing how Black workers are being asked to adopt AI, like adopt to it. And it's wild, like you said, like we've always been innovative people, right? And so what is the through line between the two projects, and what has it taught you about Black labor that gets valued, that gets extracted from the digital economy?
Yeah, I mean, the through line is what Jasmine was talking about, that Southern economic model, right? The way we work today is rooted in plantation politics. Even like if you think about the idea, our work-life balance, right? Field, the work that you do in the field and the work that you do at home, and how we're supposed to separate that, but as humans, we don't really separate that, right? If you have a bad day in your personal life, that's coming to the job. If you have a bad day at your job, that's coming home. There's no work-life balance, especially for Black workers, where a lot of our jobs started in other people's homes, right? There's always been that blur. So I lean into Black feminist thought, like Toni K. Barbara, and this idea of wholeness and seeing your life as one ecosystem. But the AI connection is this idea of like, oh, we'll use this technology to make our lives easier, and we can spend more time doing other things, and that's not always the case.
But does it make your life easier?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it has been proven.
Okay.
For some people, they might say, I use ChatGPT and it helps me with all these things. And that is possibly true for people. I don't like negate that. I respect that. But we're talking about efficiency, and I always question, what are you saving all this time to do? Companies are saying be more efficient so you can do more for them in the same amount of time. You're not getting paid anymore. Because we live in Georgia, it has among the lowest, if not the lowest wages in the nation. So again,
talk about, I did not know. I was at a governor's candidate forum a couple weeks ago, and one of the candidates said, minimum wage is $5.15. I was like, excuse me? I said, what is happening? What, did we not? And it was just like, wow, that is so wild in 2026.
It's all racism. Like, I was in the lab the other day. What I called a lab was like the research center, the Atlanta History Center. I'm working on a different project right now. And I found this thing, and it still kind of blows my mind, but it's so true. So this idea of like job salaries and a job description, they say if you live in Washington, D.C., you make X amount. If you live in Georgia, you make Y amount. And it's the idea that people in the North have a higher like income or cost of living, so they need to make. That is not true. That is actually, there is no facts to support that. So they came up with this idea of dividing by regions right after around the Depression era, when they're coming out with the Works Progress Administration. So they wanted to say, oh, we'll pay workers in the North a little more than workers in the South. That was a way to prevent Black workers from getting like viable jobs. They wanted to keep us into precarious contract work, which is a through line between my two projects.
Yeah.
Content creators, social media influencers, actors, musicians, artists, as well as like people increasingly in these like tech and tech adjacent roles. It's more and more contract work. It's more and more gig work. It's more and more part-time work. That's the through line between my work. I study gig work and precarious work. But all of this idea of like paying people in the South less because we have a lower cost of, that is not true. There's no facts. They did that because they say, hey, we want to actually have you pick cotton when cotton season comes.
Right.
So in order for you to come and do those jobs, because we can't keep you as slaves anymore, that's illegal, they give you no other options. They make it so hard for you to get another job, so you have no choice but to do that job. That's how this idea of separating like salaries by regions started, and we're still doing that today.
Yeah.
Everything still goes back to race. Everything goes back to racism. So everything goes back to anti-Blackness, unfortunately.
I love the way that you did not read my notes, but you just segue right into them. Because race and structure critique from plantation to platforms, that's a very long history. And I think we overlook that because it's AI, it's brand new. It's like the new kid on the block, it's cool. But AI has a long history in anti-Blackness. So can you speak to that? Like, what does historical record actually show? When you're in the record, when you're in the archives, when you're looking at the documents, what does it actually show in the labor discipline, technology, and Black anti-Black?
Yeah, I mean, let's just start, like AI did not start in 2023 when ChatGPT came out, right? It's been around for many decades. We could go even back to like the 1940s, and there's like possibly even before that, because it's all rooted in this idea of machine learning, and you interact with that every day. If you're on Netflix or Spotify or what have you, right? It's a part of your life. But when it comes to technology, I make this interesting point in the report, and I expand upon that history a bit in a separate literature review that's also out online at dataandsociety.net, along with a slew of other things related to this work. But we're looking at the invention of the cotton gin, right? And that started here in Georgia, right? To the AI economy we live in now, it's not that different. Using technology to make work happen faster, because the cotton gin can pick 50 pounds of cotton to just the average Black worker.
That is really good.
Right?
That is really
The technology is the same argument is being made today. The AI can do this faster than the average worker. And you know what? Because AI can supposedly do this more than or faster than the average worker, instead of hiring one full-time person for a job and giving them benefits, let's just hire a part-time person and they can supplement their work with AI and do more work faster, but we don't have to pay them the benefits and give them that stability. Like, we're seeing ways that technology is being weaponized, and it's always fallen on us as Black people. Right? We tend to be the ones that they're encouraging us to do these programs and adopt. We're always kind of the guinea pigs to see how things work, and then maybe we'll expand it to other people. But a lot of this ideas of innovation and efficiency is rooted in anti-Blackness, and even this idea that we always have to keep busy working, because if we're not working, then we're lazy. And if we're not lazy, then we're despondent and put us in a jail because we're not contributing to society.
Right.
It's still the same.
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to process. Bringing it back to Atlanta, as we are in 404 weekend and your report being 404 Job Not Found, and one of the things that people say about the city all the time is the 50 years of Black leadership, right? And it is a very civic city. It's a very heavy Black political city. How does this contradiction shape what actually benefits the city's AI economy building?
No, I had to do like an extra slide.
Because it's in AJC, it's in all reporting, right? Mayor Andre Dickens, he went to tech. He's like, Atlanta needs to be this tech hub. It needs to be this thing. You don't see policy around it. You don't see innovation around it. So I just feel like you have the answer for us. Okay.
I'll take
perspective.
perspectives. Atlanta is very good at marketing itself. It's very good at branding itself. Because think about it from a historical perspective. This is a landlocked city.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we weren't by the waters and things like that. We had the terminus, we had the train.
Yeah.
But how does Atlanta promote itself, and how has it always promoted itself? It's since we have a willing workforce.
Yes.
It's a diverse, and we can pay, like what Jasmine was saying, we can pay them low wages and they're ready to work. That's a part of, that's how the Metro Atlanta Chamber still markets the city on their website today. Come to Atlanta, companies, set your headquarters here. We have these workers, so many workers for you. And you're a worker sitting in this audience like, where are these jobs? Where? Because the companies are getting paid to like generate work and wealth for the city. And you're sitting here like, I'm just trying to get some benefits. I'm just trying to find a job that allows me to be flexible with my needs outside of work, childcare, transportation, parent minding, and all these other things that we all have to do as humans. I think Atlanta's really good at marketing itself as an innovative city that's all about belonging, and we're the city too busy to hate. But there's still the very fact that we've been an capital of income inequality, capital of income inequality, excuse me, for many moons, right? It's still the capital of income inequality, despite the marketing of itself as a Black Mecca and a place where you can come and make something of yourself. But the gag is with the little twist to that is it's not really about wage work, because even the mayor's office to this day, they're not promoting like wage work, they're promoting entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right? Innovation here is about being a tech entrepreneur and starting a startup and all this stuff, right?
Really solopreneur.
Because you're solopreneur, right? Because you can't even afford to hire anyone.
Right. Right. It's really solopreneur. I say that all the time. Like the amount of solopreneurs that are in Atlanta, it needs its own category because it's not entrepreneurship. It's not scaling. Very few scale.
There's stats about that, like how we have so many Black-owned businesses and solopreneurs and those high rates. It's because if you're looking for a job and the jobs ain't coming,
right,
you got to make something shake for yourself, right? So they tell you on Twitter, start an LLC, do this, do that. I don't recommend everyone start an LLC. Make sure you have some income before you do that. That's some free advice for you. But like they really push that, and then they say, look at us, we're so innovative. We are trying to do all these things. It goes into the marketing story, but the marketing doesn't always match the reality. Yeah. That's why it's marketing.
I love the fact that you're a cultural anthropologist. It's one of my favorite things about you, because we can go from like nails to like down in the archives to like what crop is being grown where, the black belt. We can go like all around, and it's not even a thing. Did you like when you were doing this work? Did you encounter moments during the field work that you felt like your own presence or framing was shaping the story, and how did you reckon with that mythology? Because we're very opinionated people.
Yeah, but I lean into like curiosity with the work, right? So like one thing I love about doing research is just like I just get to listen to other people and learn about them. So obviously with any kind of work, there's no such thing as like truly objective, right? It's pizzas that we are going to go and make.
Oh yeah.
Right, but I really lean into pattern finding and just talking to people, meeting people. And I think the pieces of me that's in the work is the approach to the work.
Right.
So like a lot of social science research these days, you might see like a flyer on LinkedIn and it's like, this person's finishing their dissertation, like fill out this survey online or some kind of link to fill out a survey or apply for the study. For me, and all the projects I do, the people I work with as like research participants are likely people I met, for the most part, I'd say 90% in person. I'm going to where you work or where you're at or whatever the community event is, and I probably come up to people just like elevator pitch, introduce myself, but it starts with that kind of like, they're doing the project because they felt some kind of connection to me, right? And I honor that and I respect it because it's like one by one people. This project alone, I think I had 34 conversations, 34 people, but I had to reach out to like 90, I have an Excel sheet, I had to reach out to like 90 people, back-to-back follow-ups. It's in person, then we connect digitally. A few cases I might just cold email, but everything is relationships here, so I try to make that relationship. But like going from 90 people to just get like the 34 to fill out the consent form and we had that time together, that's a lot of people work. So I think that's like how myself comes into the work is through the approach.
Yeah, I love that. You draw alignment in your dissertation between work first rhetoric and work centered practices. What did that gap look like on the ground? Can you walk us through the specific moment when that crystallized when you were talking to all of these people?
Yeah, I can tell you about all the tech events I've been to over the past year because a lot of the work also happened at these kind of like tech events, you know, as a tech week, render, what have you. I was everywhere. You might have seen me because a lot of people are like, I recognize you from somewhere. You probably did because I've been in these streets. Respectfully, at work. But the worker first rhetoric are these conversations like, you know, Atlanta is so great, come here, you're gonna get opportunity here. We're the Silicon South. We want to be top 5 tech cities, and then you're in the same room. It's time for the audience Q&A, and somebody says, "I'm on the job market right now. I'm looking for advice as to how to navigate it. What should I do?" And then every time it's like, you know, it's really about being a good person and having soft skills. And you're like, well, the ATS applicant tracking system does not know that I'm a good person. They do not know my soft skills. I cannot navigate that. So a lot of the conversations tend to be like very like surface level because we're trying to sell the dream of AI. Like, we need to sell the dream of AI so companies can invest in Atlanta, right? So we can make more parking lots and expensive condos and houses and things like that. It's a lot of parking lots that are very expensive.
We'll tear down a historic building for a parking lot. It's
real quick, and you can't even afford to park in there, but it's there. Right? That's a part of the whole thing is like we have to be business first.
Yeah.
Like, so, but in order to be business first, we have to kind of pretend that we're worker centric. Mm-hmm. Again, the policies do not align with that. Our living conditions do not align with that. Our wages certainly do not align with that.
Absolutely not. Your report describes AI literacy as a hazy concept. Do you still believe that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because literally 2 weeks after I came out with the report, so the report was published like February 4th. Like same month, the Trump administration comes out with their like AI framework where they attempt to define AI literacy and provide guardrails for what the skills are that people need to get, which means that there was no definition before, and there was no clarity on the skills, and it's still not clear. Like that framework did not offer more, didn't offer too much beyond learn how to use these tools in ways that are productive. There's a 15-page report reduced to that one sentence, and the tools that they're focusing on are generative AI tools like ChatGPT, which they say in that framework, people associate AI with just ChatGPT, but they're really encouraging you to use tools like the Gemini and ChatGPT, Copilot, because big companies made those tools. A lot of investments has gone into those companies. They have to make a return on their investment. So for them to do that, we all have to use it. We all have to adapt, right? So it's not really about, is this gonna make your work better? It's, we spent a lot of money. We invested a lot of money in AI and all the infrastructure around it and these data centers. We gotta get that money back. That means y'all gotta use these things. And that's what it's about. I mean, AI Day in the A, respectively, was sponsored by Microsoft. And it was about using Microsoft tools that happened to be on their anniversary, which they say just happened to be a coincidence. I mean, it was a happy coincidence for them, but it was really a way to brand Microsoft as giving back to the city, and we're giving back to the city, so you might as well use our stuff.
Right. Marketing, again, marketing.
I want to work in marketing.
Right, you're actually a great marketer. I had so much fun as you were gearing up for this event. I got to see your genius in that. I just want to invite you all to please scan the QR code and submit your questions. We are coming up on the Q&A portion, and we really want you all in this conversation. I come from a family of 9, so if you were at the dinner table with my parents and you didn't talk, it was like voluntold. So please scan the QR code and put your...
You're interested in what y'all did. Hold on. Wait. Y'all got questions in it? This is my grandma's side. Okay, cool. I'm kind of on the spine, see what y'all got going on here.
Yes, please submit your questions. It is definitely necessary for you all to be a part of the conversation. As we wrap up the conversation, you just talked about the rollout of the federal. So the DOL rolled out the federal AI literacy framework for workforce program in 2026. From your observation in Atlanta, does that framework reflect anything close to what workers actually need? And also, what is the burden shifts on individuals? more importantly on the youth coming up, because I think we think that they are more AI literate, more AI centered, and I'm like, are we doing them a disservice by labeling them that with all the changes and very little guardrails?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite conversations for the study was with a recent college grad, and just this frustration that she felt over the assumption that because she was a marketing major, that like the only jobs that she was eligible for was to be like a social media person. Anything related to tech, give it to the young person. But like, when are they supposed to learn these things? Like, which is what she was bringing up. It's like, you're wanting me to come to this job having already learned things, and I'm coming here because I want to learn something. So there's that gap of the expectations. So this skills gap is really a gap between worker capacity and employer expectations, right? But the onus is being put on the workers to adapt instead of the companies in order to provide, whether it's the training opportunities or the space within the jobs to like learn how these tools are. So when it comes to things like learning AI, you can look at it like from a class difference. So I noticed the participants I had in white collar jobs, people that work in offices, maybe knowledge work, things like that, in front of a computer, they got that like AI trained on the job, right? There might have been like a LinkedIn Academy or some type of person comes into the office and teaches them something about AI.
Yeah.
If you are a blue collar worker, you have to go out of your way to pursue one of the wonderful organizations here, right? Or some similar program, and oftentimes, even though the program is wonderful because it might be free, the time it might be during that business hours when you're like, I need to be making money for that job. I can't do this program that is not paying me to do it. Or how do I fit this within all the other things I have going on? So the blue collar workers has to jump through a few more hoops, right, to even participate in the training programs than the white collar workers who might get that within their company because the company wants to say, well, we have these workers trained in AI and they know all the latest technology, so we can, one of the research participants I had, she basically was saying how it's so they can say to their clients that we have these experts and then charge their clients more. But me as a worker, I do not get paid more for being that expert, right? That's just part of my job. So there's even a difference in the accessibility of training when you're a white collar worker versus a blue collar worker to start. And don't even get me on the pink collar workers and care work and things like that.
Yeah. I think another one of your geniuses that I, even the other day when we were sitting talking, I was like, God, labor, right? Like we don't think about labor. So I want you to invite us into your thought process about labor, AI, but mainly just labor in the context of whatever we do.
Labor is everything, right?
But I think the thing is why I say it is because we don't
you don't think of it like
we don't think about in journalism. I'm not thinking about labor, but I should be, right? And like you said, pink care workers, we don't think about that. So how do we use? I guess the call to action to think about labor and the anti-blackness within labor.
Yeah, I mean, I would say when it comes to AI specifically, I argue that AI adoption is a labor conversation because you're choosing at times, let's say from a company perspective, maybe you're choosing to have certain tasks done by some type of technological tool that a human used to do, right? You used to have the intern come in and clean all the databases and do certain jobs, and now you're saying that, oh yeah, but like AI can do that. We can come up with some type of, platform and model to do this work, right? It's a labor decision you made, right? Rather than taking the time to train somebody to help them get started in their career, you're like, well, we can still get this job done, and then we'll hire maybe middle level workers or senior level workers to do the rest of the work, but we'll have like the entry kind of level work that people used to get into done by the computers. And I'm very curious what that looks like 5 years from now and so on, when you're not hiring these cool college graduates like a Mo or like a Letitia now, and then 5 years from now, you're gonna be like, where's all our middle level workers?
Right.
We only have senior level workers who are too expensive for us to put in certain roles, and we're still not trying to hire the entry level workers. But somehow people are supposed to get an advance in their career, make it to the middle level. So like I always say, anything we do when it comes to like AI, is a labor conversation. And I think I would say Atlanta is becoming center of that labor conversation this year.
Yeah.
Two of the largest labor organizations, the Labor Research Action Network and Jobs with Justice, they are holding their national conferences this year here in Atlanta. Last year was in Rutgers, New Jersey. This year it's in Atlanta. Coincidence? I think not. And also it's the same day as the Atlanta Studies Symposium. So I will be at both somehow. But anything with technology, it's in a labor conversation going back all the way to the cotton gin.
Yeah. You did an AJC op-ed. And in the AJC op-ed, you talked about, you argued probably about how Georgia must regulate AI in public interest. And with that, like when you started talking about...
So I had the honor of having a research participant, Nikki Merritt, who is one of our state senators, right? And again, when I talk about like person to person, I didn't know her before. I met her at a labor town hall. We were sitting like knee to knee with like plates of chicken and rice, at the Arts Exchange in East Point, for real. But that's how we connected. But she was telling me how when she came up with, she had a bill, and it was one of the first like AI accountability bills in the state of Georgia. And it was not initially passed. She's going to still push for it. But when they presented the bill on the floor, lobbyists came up to her and they're like, who's going to regulate this? Like,
Right.
Who's going to actually enforce this? Because we want to be able to do what we're doing, which is allowing private companies and industry to just kind of have its way with Atlanta as a playground. So who's going to enforce it? It's usually the Attorney General, whether it's a state bill or a federal bill. But there's a lot of pushback on that bill. That is why it's not passed, because when you get into accountability, you also get into, okay, we need protections for workers. Okay, you need to have some guardrails. If you're gonna come here and do this, you have to have X amount of jobs and things like that. There's a lot of lobbying against that, right? Because they want the private companies to kind of, again, treat Atlanta as a playground.
Right, so there's very few lobbying around this particular interest. You observed that community-based nonprofits are filled with gaps that government and industry leave open, often offering childcare, schedule flexibility, real support, but you know that they're doing it without sustainable funding regardless of what they get and not. How can that model hold and not break, but also how can AI help?
The model can't hold, it's gonna break. I mean, we're getting even less funded. Right, like nonprofits who do a lot of this like work to fill in the gaps in our society are already understaffed and under-resourced, and now with the Trump administration, they're even more understaffed and more under-resourced. I don't know how long they're going to be able to sustain. We have a lot of organizations. I used to volunteer for Literacy Action here in Atlanta, right? We did a lot of training for adult learners, and I was in the digital media classroom. And this was before I even had this report. Like, this was just me volunteering. They no longer exist. They shut down in the fall of 2023 because they could not afford to keep going. Where do all those adult learners go? We're talking about AI literacy, and I was in the classroom helping people right-click on a mouse. Like, we still need basic digital literacy. And those resources, it's harder to find and to support, which is why I wanted to have these organizations here today. So you could put a face to a name, get to know them, and like support their work, whether it's through a donation or sending people to what they do, or reaching out to your local politician to say, I really believe in this organization. How can we create funds so they can continue their work? Because if they can't continue their work and the private sector and the government isn't gonna like help us, what are we gonna do? I mean, mutual aid is useful, it's good, but we can't all eat off mutual aid. Like, we gotta do a lot more. All of these things we have to do together, but like, we really gotta push people with money, especially philanthropic organizations and funders, to really like fund the programs to be all important, which means we have to know that they exist and pay attention. And as much as we can, do some research about what's available to us in our city, and also, if we can, spare a few dollars to donate. Right? They're often nonprofits, they really need that.
Well, this is my last question, so please scan the QR code so we can get some questions. The title of your point preview, AI Can't Do Nothing With Us, reads like a declaration of agency, and I absolutely love it. Who said that, and where are they pushing back against at this moment?
Who said that? So that whole piece was a teaser to the report. It's a version of the piece. It's also in the appendix to the report. And that was me in the classroom at City of Refuge, one of their cybersecurity programs hosted by N Pursuit, both of which are organizations in the resource Bureau.
Nice.
City of Refuge and N Pursuit. So someone said that in the classroom.
Yeah.
Like I really loved being in the classroom because it was like one of those spaces where the instructor was Black, most of the students were Black, and they just had like a rapport. There was a little like more levity to how they were talking and how they were engaging, and they were learning about cybersecurity. They so smart, I don't even know what. Right, I didn't know the terms. I'm like it was like real tech terms. I was like, I don't know, I'm just here. Thank y'all for welcoming me into your space. But I really enjoyed being there, and they were just having fun in that moment.
Yeah.
Someone was like, AI can't do nothing with us.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's it, right? It's like us as individuals, it's artificial intelligence. Y'all have human intelligence.
Right.
You are the data source. They're trying to take what you do and what you know and mimic that back to you.
Yeah.
You're the source code. Like, so I think with that is being in those classrooms reminds me of like the importance of humanity, the work we do. Like my job as a researcher, people would say, oh, that's the kind of work that AI can take over. It's not going to write like I do. It's not going to get to the human core like I do. It's not going to have those connections. It's going to like try to scrape what I do and regurgitate that back to you, but it's really not the same.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to say my job is secure because I'm going to make opportunities for myself, not because the people got the money and stuff, but if you have the money.
Yeah.
But I think Anuli intelligence is going to outweigh artificial intelligence any day.
I love that. Oh my God, please tell me that you all have scanned the QR code and are ready to ask some questions.
Yes, we have Danya coming up who will be leading our Q&A portion, and I see the questions are in.
So the first question I have is, long term, as job cuts inevitably continue to accelerate, do you see a future of universal basic income or a similar concept being adopted here in the US?
Universal basic income, it's a great idea, and there are like small case studies in which it has actually helped because giving people just like a baseline of support so you can at least maybe pay certain bills, I think is useful. Will it be widely adopted? I personally doubt that it will be widely adopted, but I do see the merits of it because we are over here trying to survive and we shouldn't be in a position where we have to like focus on survival, right? Because when you're so focused on survival, you can't be creative, you can't be as innovative, right? You can't like express your brain because you're just trying to pay the bills. So if you at least know there's like $1,200 coming in a month, that's a support, that's something, right? You can work unrestricted, like you can work with that. But I feel like there's so much greed in the world, right? There's so much greed among politicians and corporations. I see it hard for that to be widely adopted nationwide, but again, I do see the merits of it as a concept.
I love how you connected the gig economy to the original work structure of Black laborers, but is there a scalable career path in AI?
Is there a scalable career path in AI? I mean, it's like one of those things like AI is here, so you might as well get with it. But again, it's here because of all the investment in it. I can't say if it's a scalable career path, but it is here. And we all have to get with it. I would say it doesn't hurt to learn these things, right? Because if the technology is going to be present in your everyday life, you should at least know what it is, how it works, and how it might impact you. Where these data centers are located, like what Mo was sharing in the first panel. There's one really close to here. You should know about that. Like, yeah, it's kind of a hard question because it's very speculative, and that's why I say it's hard. It's a speculative market. Everyone is guessing. Like they invested in it, they want it to work. We can't say if it's going to be a bust, right, or a bubble that might burst. It has the makings of a bubble. You know, it cracks and has feathers, and it looks like a duck. It might burst, but you know, long story short, it's a speculative market. Everything is really hearsay. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone's guessing and trying to throw spaghetti in a wall and make it stick. All you can do is at least learn what brand of spaghetti it is, what kind of spaghetti it is, and see, what kind of sauce they use, and just learn as much as you can about it and determine for yourself how involved you want to be with AI, how much you want to use AI. But I wouldn't say ignore it completely, right? I don't think you can, but you should know something. It's like when social media came out and everyone's like, oh, that's cute. And now we all are using social media for everything. Low-key Black Planet?
Black Planet, bring it back.
I think we have time for one more question. Someone says, when they look at the products and companies created by AI, there is a lack of diversity of thoughts. Is the right solution to make everyone a tech person, or do you see an alternate future?
Not everyone should be a tech person, Lord, please. Right? Because think about this, this whole idea of a ChatGPT or even this idea of vibe coding, it's about prompting, being a prompt engineer. And even that, I talk about that the labels and how we categorize skill. But that's asking good questions, right? Ultimately, prompting is about how do you ask or how do you pose a question. And where do you learn that? In the humanities, in the social sciences, the very departments that are being defunded, right? So I would say not everyone needs to be a tech person because you need the creatives, you need the humanists, you need all these skill sets so we can work together. But again, please fund the humanities and the social sciences, because if you want to learn how to ask a good question, how to be connected to people and thought, it's going to be in the humanities. It's going to be in the social sciences. It's not all hard sciences and computer sciences where you're going to learn that. So I think that's really important.
Thank you all for coming out. This concludes our session of the Closing Fireside Chat. 404 not found. What's working, training cannot fix. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for this conversation. And thank you all for being here tonight. I'm going to wrap it up with some quick closing remarks. Real quick, but we're gonna do, if you all don't mind, a 3-minute breather break, and I'll come back for closing remarks. So hang tight. Yeah. Thank y'all. Take a moment to thank the many people and partners who made tonight possible. First, thank you to our incredible events production team. Thank you. And I'm going to name Bria Smith. Thank you so much for leading the Career Resource Fair and being my collaborator and partner in crime in this right hand, honestly. Danya Nicholson, thank you for being my right hand today, leading our Q&A. Drew Fred, thank you for manning our merchandise stand for Black and Real Life and doing a lot of heavy lifting to make this event possible. Physically heavy lifting, because you'd think I'm lifting anything with these nails. I'm not. I just got them done yesterday. Ifeanyi Owechi and Sandy Miller at our check-in, making that smooth. And of course, the staff here at Plywood Place, especially Latasha Brown, who's up there with the music. Thank you so much. A huge thank you as well to our media production team, videographer Mosi Noreen of Videographer Atlanta LLC, Black, photographer Jalen Johnson, our resident Morehouse man, right there, thank you. Future cinematographer, watch out now. Yeah. And Cola Be Talking, our Black in Real Life TV correspondent. So if you saw someone with a microphone asking you questions, it was Cola. There she go. She got more questions for you. Thank you all for helping us document this gathering and carry its energy beyond this space. There will be a video, full length, and a short form later. You will see to experience this experience. Also, special thanks to our partners and supporters. So the Atlanta Interdisciplinary AI Network, AI, they funded this whole thing. Thank you. Capital B in Atlanta. Thank you for being our media partners, a table organization. Thank you, Ann, for just interviewing me, just being a supporter and a friend. Thank you for being a friend. I also want to thank our wonderful tabling organizations, Capital B Atlanta, City of Refuge, and Pursue Career Partners, Soar to CEO, Subsume, and Technologists of Color. Thank you for showing up with real pathways, real resources, and a real commitment to our community here in Atlanta. And I want to thank Ms. Postured Borders. So if you like the Black in Real Life tote bags or the hats, that's a Black woman-owned business out of the DMV, where I'm originally from, have to support. Try to make it Black as much as I can with everything, right? That's why we even have our vendor, Go Juicy Atlanta, right there in the back for some fresh juices. Please be sure to get a juice on your way out. It's good? I see it. Hey, period. Only the best for y'all. And last but never least, I want to thank tonight's featured speakers. Letitia Jones, Melissa Drew, Andrea P. Miller, Jasmine K. Patterson, Mo Wisdom,